Noxians. I hate those guys.
Ezreal is a fun to play champion that has been always a bit questionable in terms of role, whether he should be in the mid as AP caster or just regular ADC for the bottom lane, and quite honestly both works fine. But still, despite the delicious AP ratios on his spells, Ezreal is more suitable in the end for bottom lane, as you provide fun mechanics into the game when you have to skill shot every single one of your 4 abilities. Requires a bit trial and error when aiming the shots, but he can be very useful champion when done right. Also, when quick peeking at the latest patch notes, apparently Ezreal is just chilling in the back as the previous changes are from 420 patch and the patches before that. Corki is the daring bombardier who also has high ability power scaling, even despite the fact he's an AD carry. Corki's kit consists decent poking with phosphorus bomb and missile barrage, while Valkyrie lets you fly in or away and Gatling gun shreds away the enemy's armor while dealing physical damage. It all sounds very mixed up in terms of damage and all, and even gets a bit bizarre when the players go as far as buy sorcerer's shoes for Corki all the time. I thought that the magic penetration is for mages and stuff, but apparently not, as I personally think Riot should adjust the magic ratios on Corki, so players will buy the Berserker's Greaves once again. Despite that, there are not many recent patch notes to talk about, besides the mana cost increase on Valkyrie, which is a small survival letdown.
Double kill. Nice try.
Sivir is the battle mistress that has been seen especially in competitive play, and apparently she works out quite nice. What makes her good is how you can either zone, poke or just push lanes by using Boomerang Blade and Ricochet, and the utility that comes from On the Hunt is nice, but as for an AD carry you'd naturally expect some damage oriented stuff, which makes it a bit different. Sivir's third ability, Spell Shield, is the thing that will separate good and bad players when it comes to using that. Timing the Spell Shield correctly can cause you and your team a good advantage if you happen to deny big crowd control spells or some other annoying stuff like global range ultimates successfully. And lastly, quick look at the patch notes, as you can see that she hasn't got any recent changes either, and in my opinion Sivir is just fine as she is currently. Caitlyn, the Piltover Sheriff, who is known for her devastating laning phase, now makes an appearance in this list too, no doubt. Caitlyn has great tools to lane with, as she has amazing basic auto attack range and the passive headshot that amplifies even more damage to her attacks. With Piltover Peacemaker she can poke or push lanes quick. Yordle Snap Trap enables false mini cakes to the map that roots the enemy, and you're even able to stack the trap for double root duration if the conditions meet. 90 caliber net is a nice slow and escape tool to the mix, and Caitlyn's ultimate, Ace in the Hole, wraps up the sniper for good, as you're unable to execute targets from longer distances once lock and load. It all sounds very appealing and strong, but Caitlyn gets weaker in the later the game goes, because every ability she uses has a small delay, and there are marksmen who excels better later on. Latest patch notes have almost nothing to say either, as there are just some bug fixes for now.
Silver of the Moon.
The Night Hunter Vayne is one deadly AD carry who can shut down single target in a matter of seconds. Vayne's tumble lets her roll into cursor location and causes next auto attack to do bonus damage, while it is also a handy tool to dodge skill shots and some other minorities too. Silver Bolts is what makes Vayne scarier later on, as she'll provide a ton of extra true damage every third auto attack to the same target. Condemn knockbacks and stuns if it hits a wall, plus applies one Silver Bolt stack, which is her only crowd control spell, and Final Hour lets Vayne go stealth when tumbling for 1 second, and the passive Night Hunter movement speed is tripled as long as Final Hour is active. Vayne's true potential starts to get shown more in mid-late game, so it might get troublesome sometimes when dealing with the early game and versus that high range poking. While lastly, looking up the patch notes, there are nothing really interesting here, except I'm really glad that Riot enabled that you can now condemn players into player created terrains like Anivia's Crystallize or Azir's Emperor's Divide.
Ashes and dust.
Lucian the Purifier is a high mobile marksman who is still one of the strongest around. His laning phase is quite strong as you're able to harass enemies by using piercing light, as it even hits through minions that comes down very useful. Ardent Blaze and the Calling are also very powerful damage tools, while Relentless Pursuit lets you reposition or dash through walls if necessary. But what makes Lucian really stand out is how you're enabled to double shoot thanks to his passive Light Slinger that triggers whenever you use any of his 4 abilities. Even though the second hit isn't as strong as the main attack, you're able to dish out devastating damage when rotating as many Light Slingers to your combo as possible. Riot adjusted the Lucian's damage values back in end of season 4, and it's understandable because he used to be broken as hell, especially that zero cost Relentless Pursuit was ridiculously OP. Good thing it has some mana cost put back there. Tristana, oh Tristana, the Megling the Yordle Gunner who has gone some major changes in the early season 5, so let's take a look. Biggest changes you'll notice is that the passive draw beach range per level has been decreased and that explosive shot is no more and it's called explosive charge instead. Explosive charge no longer apply healing reduction, but it sort of works like Zillion's time bomb when it detonates after a short amount of time. But you can boost the explosion damage by hitting the target afflicted by explosive charge to gain some nice damage out there. Riot also reduced the AP ratios on Tristana, so they're really trying to kill AP Tristana if you ask me. In any other way, Tristana is pretty much the same, she just uses a bit different mechanics in order to succeed very well. One thing that annoys me, and I know this is personal, but why they changed the voice with Tristana?
Ta-da!
Oh my god! She used to be this cute little Yordle shooting up some bullets here and there, but now she sounds and looks like derp! And I understand she's a Yordle and now she looks more elfish with the ears, but meh, I just don't like it, I'm sorry. Jinx the Loose Cannon is a versatile marksman who's known for her arsenal of eclectic weapons. Jinx is able to deal a lot of burst damage with both Zap and Super Mega Death Rocket, while Flame Chompers roots the enemy and keeps them placed for a while. With Switcheroo, Jinx has 2 auto attack stances, Pow Pow that focuses single target and grants attack speed, and Fishbones that has higher range, full damage splash function, but it costs some mana per attack. But what really makes the Fishbone stance amazing later on is that whenever you critical strike with Jinx, the splash damage will critical strike all the targets simultaneously, so if the enemy is going to stack a lot, it's easy cake for Jinx to take care of. Finally, when looking up the latest patch notes, there are nothing that fancy here except that the Switcheroo will display the current stance instead of the stance she would enter upon activation.
I got no time for games.
Graves the Outlaw is also a marksman who is known for his very high burst output. He has two main damage sources, buckshot and collateral damage, that both consist very high AD ratios, and therefore he is scary when it comes to killing someone. Graves also has nice sustain point from his passive True Grit, as long as you keep yourself in combat. Smokescreen does more damage too, but works out much better as an utility tool due to its high cooldown, and with quick draw you're able to dash in or out whatever the situation might be, and it also grants you some attack speed, so definitely not bad spell either. However, what makes Graves a bit weaker is his auto attack range, because many other marksmen actually outranges Graves, and therefore some matchups can turn out very tricky against him. And lastly, when quick looking down the latest patch notes, there are nothing much to say here, just look. But before we seek out the best ADC for Season 5, let's quickly take a look at some of the honorable ADC mentions. Ashe is one of the classic marksmen who has a solid kit and nice crowd control combined. Easy to pick up but hard to master though. Draven is an ADC that's known for his ridiculous damage due to his spinning axes, but he is also trickier to execute properly. Kog'Maw is known for his big range via bio-arcane barrage and the hybrid damage he can execute. He lacks proper escape though, but if the conditions meet he can be extremely useful shutdown champion, especially versus high health opponents. Queen is one of the less popular marksmen around because she is a bit different, like her ultimate tag team for instance, but she has AoE blind which is kind of rare and works out versus many attack damage oriented champions. Twitch is the sneaky stealth marksman who can excel extreme plays within right conditions, but usually he requires good position in order to succeed well. The last honorable mention we have here is Varus, who has moderate CC and damage in his kit, but he is one of those ADC who lacks proper escape and therefore he is also easy to shut down.
We are vengeance.
Kalista is the newest marksman in the table, at least up to patch 5.5, who has been dominating the Summoner's Rift ever since its release. She is a marksman who cooperates with her soulbound buddy, who is support most likely, to deal substantial damage. Kalista's passive martial poise lets her dash with her every single auto attack, and it also works with Pierce, that is a solid nuke too. Sentinel works as a nice scout tool to prevent ganks, and its passive function will deal a lot of bonus damage if Kalista and her Oathsworn ally will hit the same target within short time period. Rend however is the spell that really hurts, as it reminds me of Twitch's Contaminate, but with Kalista you can endlessly stack the spears and do insane poking all over the place. Her ultimate Fate's Call is quite interesting too, as it vanishes your Oathsworn ally for a short moment, but lets them either initiate with a knock-up in it, or just you can save your support from bad situations. With all this said, Kalista is very strong marksman to pick up and play, but her unique playstyle with her passive and the soulbound system makes it quite different, so she needs some time to get used to. Many players do buy items like Runan's Hurricane for her, as you're able to spread your rend all over the place, and that seems to work for her quite nicely, even though Runan's isn't that popular item in general. And finally, when looking down the patch notes, there are some adjustments for her passive, and I gotta say it's nice that you're able to switch the target, even though you still cannot cancel the auto attack. Alright, so that's about it for the top 10 Season 5 AD Carry Champions video, hope you enjoyed. Please rate, comment and subscribe if you haven't yet for my weekly LoL and other gaming videos to come. That's it for this time. My name is Apodix and have a nice day.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spot. I'm just kidding. This is not a spotlight. But we do have an epic game here. You see we got Kayle on one team and Morgana on the other, so no one's going to die because you just have bubbles. But anyway, Morgana running dodge steals instead of mana because she's good at this game. Kayle missing some attacks, but really shouldn't matter. Somehow she has green dark bindings though, and somehow they have no cooldown. So this was a pretty balanced patch, I think.
And wow, Kayle somehow changing her skin mid-game. Now that is a unique talent. I want that for a passive. And Morgana clearly experiencing Riot Point envy, as she's got just the default skin and does not have that ability.
But putting a sword into the ground is such a great idea as it gets ganked by Nasus. The summoner has no map awareness whatsoever. I just don't understand that. But Rides, of course, feeling so good about one-shotting minions with Spell Flux, must have a ton of ability power there, and running across the map, meeting up with Alistar so that they can run together, using the buddy system across that bridge because safety in numbers is the right way to go. But at this blue turret, we see Cho'Gath defeating minions properly and just nomming them away, but getting stunned by that tower and shaking it off. But it's Malady Monday, guys. Look at that attack speed. He's doing just so well with that, and his teammates must be raging so hard just the same. So there's that headbutt, getting him out of the way, and Rise turning on Ghost so he can run faster, as all pros do, wasting the summoner spells with no combat going on at all. Great play, and, well, he does come across Master Yi, who is now locked into a duel with Katarina. Now, both players, of course, 6 Phantom Dancers, and let me just talk about those Phantom Dancers. Man, they're such great big items. I love them. So, moving on, as Kayle does a backflip, and by Kayle, of course, I mean Katarina. Ashe baiting her team in the brush, as all carries should do, never taking damage whatsoever. Warwick comes in to tag out Katarina, letting her take that break right there, and continuing to fail epically hard against Master Yi's dodge stats. But Rise running across the map, coming in to tag out Yi. No, he's actually going to use Summoner Throw. That's a new one. Throws Yi across the map, charges up for Warwick, and bam! There's the one-shot from Summoner Throw from full health. I think that's pretty imbalanced. I'll make sure we nerf that next patch. But Kayle getting just knocked around by Nasus, taking a lot of damage. Morgana taking great pleasure in that conflict. Nasus gripping up for his last fight, and oh no, Rise has shown up! Finally, Rune Prison and Overload, knocking the teammates away, and here comes the amazing ultimate, and there goes Nasus. A backflip or two. Rise doing a very good job, and his next action will be, of course, handing Kayle her helmet back, as helmet's greater than damage output. All the teams, of course, choosing to group up now. All the 5 players for each team, getting ready for minions to spawn in middle. You know, that Warwick taking Summoner Revive is, of course, the best choice, and the tanks in back, as this is the 600 elo show match. Every player just spamming slash taunt, trying to look as menacing as possible without actually doing anything important. But there we go, Rise running across the map, choosing to do what damage he can with his feet, jumping up into the air, and what will happen next? Well, I don't know, because my screen is frozen and I can't commentate action that I can't see. But tune in next time when...
The cycle of life and death continues.
Ow! Oh, damn.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Potato Monsters League of Legends Top 5 Plays for an episode stacked with all sorts of outplay. I'm excited to get going with this lineup, so let's begin with iFame's Eye on Amumu with a crazy close call number 5 play. In the beginning, we see him quickly grabbing the tier 2, but he takes quite a bit of damage from Thresh and starts to get low. The box plus Ignite is enough to make him ult, and thanks to a bunch of minions helping him out, and then another Q, things are evened up. With the final E, Thresh goes down as Mumu goes to clear the wave and then recall back to base, but this greedy play puts him right back in trouble. His only option is to bandage toss the Grom, but Graves blocks the escape path, so he's forced to flash over and then quickly smite Grom for the health to survive the damage from Graves. He sits in the brush for a while, waiting for his Q to come back up, stunning him when he enters, and then a Mumu takes off, just barely surviving the Q. After hugging the wall, he's forced to keep running upwards to keep distance as he gets down super low and breaks line of sight. With quick thinking, he smites again for the health, going back in with a final bandage toss for the second kill, thanks to the double smite and the Gromp buff to slowly kill Graves. The outplay continues with their next play from Strive like 543 on Orianna with a clutch move under the tower. This play starts off looking not so hot as they dive Orianna, but the enemy support and jungler can't quite stack the damage, so Zac backs off. Grom knows he can't solo kill her, so he has to walk away for now, but with the tower on their creeps, they can fully surround her. She shields and ults herself to hit all three, getting the instant double kill before flashing away from Zac to let the tower do the work. Orianna walks away from that dive with a triple kill, all thanks to the beautifully timed shockwave to pull them in, so let's check that out again before we move on. Landing in at her number 3 spot is Project Rio on Thresh with a nasty string of hooks that all happen in a row. Both teams are grouped mid, but the enemy Renekton is still top and he has no teleport, so blue team is looking for the right engage to all in. MF goes for the creep and Thresh reads her with a Q over the wall, finding a crucial free kill for his team as they quickly start to charge down mid. After taking the tower, they continue forward as we see Thresh eager to hook, finding it on the other AD carry with a mad life pull to deliver yet another free kill to his team. As he gets out, Sejuani helps him with an ult as he tries to turn and get more kills, somehow threading the needle to land a godly Q past 3 creeps to find his mark and go 3 for 3 on hooks and enemies slain. Coming in at second place is Bobson with an excellent teamfight play on his ear when things are looking bad at the start. He's recalling after pushing mid with his team when all of a sudden the enemy Volibear flashes over the wall and flings him back. Azir's in a bad spot, so he Zhonya's the flash shell from Cass as well as the flash dazzle from Taric. When he gets out, he shoves the enemy team back away from his team so they can isolate Cassiopeia while the other 4 players have to sit back and watch. Ashe's arrow slows most of them, and then Azir lands a crippling 4-man slow to follow it up, allowing for the full-blown counter engage on the retreating blue team. One by one they go down, giving a triple to Azir, double the Cho'Gath, and then the win for red team after an extremely well-played teamfight that didn't look promising at the start. And for our number 1 pro play for this week, we have Rave on Gnar with a picture-perfect wombo when his team needs it most. The score is 19-8, and they're at a 9,000 gold deficit with the inhib already down in mid. Gnar's building at rage when his team decides to engage 4v5, and he's turning mega soon, so he looks to flank. From out of nowhere, he jumps over, throwing them into the wall, followed by wall up to hold them in place for Jinx the Rocket and clean up all 5 for the ace. By the time that fight broke out, it was a 3v5, and despite being so far behind in every aspect of the game, Gnar's timing and angle of attack turns this fight 180 and gives his team hope. And for the bonus clip of the week, we have Roro Noah on Braum, who's looking to quickly roam to mid for a gank, but things work out much better than expected. We see him moving up through river, but as he comes up to Dragon, he spots Lee Sin soloing it and decides to contest it. Leah smites, so Braum is much more interested in killing him over stealing Dragon, but why not both? As you facepalm and watch the rest of this play, I wanted to give a special thanks to our sponsor SkillCap, who provides the cash prize to our number 1 plays. Last time we shouted them out, I told everyone about their brand new coaching option available to members of the site. I wanted to follow up and show that more and more of their coaching reviews are being posted for all the members to watch, and they're covering different levels of games. As you can see, there are games from bronze, silver, gold, and even plat, and in my opinion, games that you can relate to, you can learn more from than watching a higher level of game than you're used to. You can preview the first 2 minutes to any of these videos for free, so check out the link in the description box if you're interested. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful day and good luck out there on the Rift.
What's up guys, it's me, Jeremy. Champion reworks and updates have always served to update kits with major issues in them, or to bring new life to a champion, and throughout the years, there's been loads that have taken place. And as we go through the top 10 champion reworks and updates in League of Legends history, we'll be measuring them by how the rework improved the champion's kit, and how good the gameplay update was for them. Anyways, let's get started. At number 10, we have the quite recent Ashe update from patch 5.9. This rework is quite recent, but it did a really good job of giving her some nice tools with increased utility and helping her early laning phase out by a decent amount. The new Ashe has risen as a top tier AD carry pick, and her new kit has a lot of really powerful tools in it. The rework helped a lot of her weaknesses, mainly her early laning and her mana issues, while also not hurting her kit in any real way, so overall she became stronger and a lot more fun to play. At number 9, it's the Sivir update from patch 3.13. Similar to the Ashe update, it wasn't a complete overhaul of her kit, but it gave her a ton of utility and did a really nice job of helping her with her weaknesses. Before this rework, she had a lot of problems with mana and laning, but after the update she became a fairly lane dominant champion that didn't really have mana issues anymore, and had a lot more updated features as well, such as not having a cast time on her ultimate, as well as some other quality of life buffs. The overhaul gave her kit a lot more fluidity, and it was exactly what she needed to rise as a top tier AD carry pick ever since. At number 8, we have the Heimerdinger rework from the same patch, patch 3.13. Before this, Heimerdinger was considered, for the most part, to be a troll pick pretty much, and suffered from loads of issues throughout his kit as a whole, mainly having too much dependence on his turrets overall, causing him to be very immobile. The rework gave him burst, more damage, and a lot more utility in his ultimate, and less dependence on his turrets to win fights. Since the rework, he's risen as a fairly powerful solo queue champion that can make good use of zoning by having high range poke and some awesome crowd control too. At number 7, it's the Season 1 Rise update from patch 1.0.0.111. Although the more recent Rise rework has proved to be somewhat of a disappointment, it's not the first champion update he's received. Way back in Season 1, Rise was an AP scaling mage with long cooldowns and average damages, but this update gave him much shorter cooldowns and a spammable kit, as well as mana scaling on his abilities, which allowed him to build tanky and still have tons of damage, and turned him into a powerhouse mage that was a top tier pick for a long time, until he was nerfed repeatedly. And at number 6, we have the Victor update from patch 4.17. This is another update that is quite recent, and just like the Ashe update, it gave Victor exactly what he needed to become a fairly strong champion. Now, Victor's update didn't actually impact his kit too heavily, but the changes to his damaging spells and passive gave him a lot more consistent power, while keeping the strengths of his kit intact. Since then, he's become a fairly popular pick in competitive play, with the utility and area of effect damage that he brings to a team. And then at number 5, we have the Xerath rework from patch 4.2. With a focus on keeping his high range poke style, this rework did a great job of helping his previous problem of having to be completely immobile when casting spells. Although Xerath was okay before this rework, the improved poke and more reliable crowd control, as well as the awesome finisher of his new ultimate, made Xerath a cool and strong champion, and he's been the prime poke mid laner ever since. Next up at number 4, we have the Karma rework from patch 3.05. Before this rework, similar to Heimerdinger, Karma was considered a fairly troll pick, but with a complete overhaul of her kit with the focus of being a high utility mid-game mage, Karma became quite a decent champion. Before, it wasn't so much that her kit had a few problems, but rather that the problem was her kit as a whole being extremely weak. She was given crowd control and a lot of utility and damage in her kit as a whole with the rework, which was a big improvement over her previously lackluster kit, and overall has had quite some success since as a champion. Next up at number 3, we have the Katarina rework from patch 1.0.0.145. Before this rework, Katarina was considered to be a fairly bad champion and had never really seen the competitive spotlight. But after the overhaul to her W and improved damages in her kit while still keeping her strengths intact, the Katarina rework made her into a monster of a champion that dominated the meta with a variety of builds for multiple seasons. Before, she suffered a lot since her weaknesses were too easily exploited, but now her new kit proved to be quite strong and made her an awesome champion. Next up at number 2, we have the Scion rework from patch 4.18. Another fairly recent rework, the Scion overhaul actually made him into a monster of a champion. Before, Scion had a terrible time finding a role to fit into a team due to a weak kit and awkward scaling with his abilities. But with the focus on making him a high utility tank, Scion became pretty much the best top laner in the game for quite some time until he received multiple nerfs after. His kit became fluid and super fun to use, and he felt a lot like a strong tank force in the game. The rework gave his gameplay purpose, and that's what really made his rework shine amongst the others. And at number 1, we have the Evelynn rework from patch 1.0.0.143. Before this rework, Evelynn was arguably the weakest champion the game has ever seen. She had no utility, no damage, and no tankiness, and really nothing going for her after she received what was arguably the biggest nerf of all time about a year before this rework. However, with the update, she became a crazy powerful mage that was one of the most dominant picks for a long time, and still remains in the meta to this day as a powerful champion. They kept her stealth element, which was her only strength, and gave her great scaling, tons of damage, and a strong assassination mage playstyle. Riot took one of the weakest champions ever and turned her into an awesome powerhouse of a champion that was super fun to play, and has allowed her to be very successful for a long time.
Hey guys, it's me, Jeremy. Thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, definitely make sure to hit that like button so I can tell, as well as you can check me out on Facebook and Twitter at Gaming Curios. And check me out on Twitch too, I do weekly streams. And if you really enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, as well as you can check out some of my other content up above. Anyways, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.